neshama are part and parcel about neshama. So the question is what the human mind would be without the neshama. In other words, were the neshama not to have come and what's the word, fused with the mind, could the mind exist independently?
With the body. No?
Sorry?
Fused with the body.
Right, I understand. But I'm saying, your consciousness, is it taking place in the neshama, or is it taking place in the mind?
Or is it the fusion of the two?
Or it's a fusion of the two. So it certainly is not the neshama itself. Because the neshama itself is mostly unconscious. So your sense of self, which is in your conscious mind, does not actually constitute you. It's not anywhere near as extensive as the profundity of your neshama. Okay, so that's why we say things like the neshama is primarily in shamayim, and the upper parts of the neshama are in shamayim, and so on and so forth. Why? Because the neshama is much greater than the part which actually enters into our conscious mind.
Isn't there a good reason to fear death then? I mean, loss of consciousness?
What?
Loss of consciousness is a pretty scary thing.
Why?
Why? Because we are so strongly connected to our consciousness. We live in it every day.
Yeah, but so what?
So it's very hard to imagine.
But the point is like this: our consciousness is skewed by our physical body. In other words, almost all the Yetzer Haras which we have come from the physical body to which we're attached. And those things in our mind which are negative aspects of our sense of self come from the body and the body systems, which are animalistic in and of themselves. Even if man is a higher form of animal, they are animalistic. So therefore, the sense of self which we now experience is a sense of self which takes place in, as you put it before, the fusion of the neshama with the body. That sense of self obviously changes when a person is divested of that body, before and after a person exists in a body.
Does it become wholly different? Or,
no.
So
the things you did in this world are imprinted upon your neshama, but it's imprinted on your neshama divested of all those, not emotions, but all those negative things which we have in this world. For example, everything I do in this world, right? Let's take me, for example. Everything I do in this world has I should say everything, almost everything I do in this world has a tinge of gaiva to it. Right? You know what gaiva is? Pride, right? Because I have a sense of gaiva when I give a good shir, right? A sense of gaiva when I write a good article. So all that has a manifestation of my pride and lack of humility. That's only because there's a sense of competition in this world, which comes from our being physical. In the world of neshamas, there is no such competition. Since there is no such competition, there's no need for anybody to be haughty, or it's impossible for anybody to be haughty, because everybody sees right through to your essence, regardless of what kind of air you put on. So that aspect of our consciousness, which is pulled down when we are in this world, doesn't have that negativity when we're in the shamas. I hope that was clear somewhat.
So if you're neshama and your consciousness are two separate things, so when you were reading the book with the guy who was going back into regressions, what was he doing? If your consciousness, you said that there's two separate things, so what your consciousness is when you were born. No?
Sorry?
Your consciousness is when you were born, that it begins at the moment of your birth. You can't regress past that point.
You can't go past which point?
The point of your beginning of your consciousness, which was the moment you were born.
How does that guy regress?
How do you regress?
You know, funny you should ask. I downloaded from Amazon last night. I haven't listened to it yet. I downloaded from Amazon a hypnosis program for going into past lives.
I will volunteer right now.
Would you like to actually listen a little bit?
Yeah. Is it a frequency or?
What?
I wish you could send some guy talking.
I don't know if it's actually going to play loud enough for people to hear.
Are you in class right now?
Why don't you just invite somebody?
If you can't,
yeah, you can eat it.
If you can't do it today, play lab, maybe you could download on the internet and get the
Come on. Rabbi, so how's the regression possible then? What do you think of that?
But this is the neshama speaking, right?
I think it's going to sound like an ocean.
This is the could be transit state.
It's nothing scary. You don't hear it. It's scary. Not the thing.
That's on the floor, dude.
When you join me, you feel later.
Definitely for that one.
I did.
Sit back and listen to the beats of the metronome in the background. Each beat of the metronome will get you deeper and deeper relaxed. Listen as I count backwards from 20 to 1.
I tried this last night. I can't get hypnotized.
No, this is just waste of money.
It was 99 cents.
Completely relaxed until
Maybe it depends on how much you paid for the count you're going to get.
1. You'll be in a very deep and relaxed level of hypnosis. 20, 19, 18, deeply relaxed. 17, 16, 15, down, down, down. 14, 13,
Who wakes you up?
12.
He does at the end.
How do you know you were hypnotized? You can't remember when you were hypnotized.
I can remember the whole tape. That's the problem.
7, 6,
Not this one. I listened to the out-of-body experience one last night.
5.
Oh, this is not going to work. We're all like goofing off and not paying attention to it.
Someone talking?
We're not all going to be hypnotized.
2,
I think so.
Well, no, see, like, I actually was at a hypnotist show.
sleep. 20,
Well, no, it's
Let's just hear how he starts. Let's listen.
in a very deep, relaxed level of hypnosis. Listen as I count backwards again, this time from 7 to 1. As I count backwards from 7 to 1, you are going to hear the beats of the metronome in the background decrease in volume, with each count, until I reach the count of 1, and you hear absolutely nothing but my voice, and you'll be in a very deep and relaxed.
Would this work for anybody here?
I guess so. If you really want to really concentrate and try to just...
Can't tell because everyone in here is like making jokes.
I don't think I can't see it ever working for me.
I can fall asleep.
What we try as
It's really,
What?
it's really personal. You can have the best guy in the world, like who's an expert at this, and if you have like a mental block and you're not totally willing to go there, it's
Yeah.
not gonna work.
But I wanted to last night. Didn't work.
I think it's also something that's like kind of subconscious. Like I went to someone in Israel who was like really well known for doing this type of stuff. And I talked to other people at age who were like gone, and a rabbi whose wife went and like she went into a past life regression and found out how she was like beheaded or whatever. She always had these neck pains, right?
Yes, yeah.
And like her neck pains went away after whatever. Like people, a lot of people, the Rosh Hashiva knew him. All rabbis there knew about this guy. He was supposed to be very legit. I knew someone personally who was starting to change him because he had such an intense experience when he went to him. And I went to him, and like I couldn't, it didn't work for me. So I mean, and that's a lot more expensive than a 99-cent tape.
Oh, he charged you anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so I mean, there's probably something there in my mind that I just couldn't. I wasn't 100% like totally willing to just let it happen. Or some people are easier to, have it happen than others.
So, anyway, I guess everybody got bored of that. But so I guess past this, getting you into the trance, he tries to get you into your past life, and you. Since the neshama remembers everything, and your neshama is not your conscious mind, and we all know that based on Kabbalah, based on many sources. So therefore, what you do in hypnosis is in essence you tap into your unconscious mind. Meditation is also supposed to accomplish the same thing. The problem with meditation is that people like me who are so ADD, we can't really focus long enough to meditate for more than 10 seconds. So therefore it's not really possible for me to actually reach that. But there is a way, and you find this in Rabbi Ari Kaplan's Jewish Meditation, and you find in the Piasetzner Sefer B'nai Machshava Tova, in which they tell you you can reach access to things which are in your unconscious mind, which in essence is a very broad and infinitely broad space where the secrets of creation are lurking, and tap into that. And that's not something which is in my current sense of self. It's lying dormant.
So your unconscious mind is part of your brain. It's not.
No.
No, it's not.
No.
That's neshama.
What?
That's neshama.
It's in the neshama, right? It's not in your brain right now.
So
your neshama, according to Mekubalim, and according to the New Age people, your neshama is anchored. It's linked to your brain, but your neshama is outside of yourself.
So without neshama,
with this in mind, how do we explain when a person has a hormonal imbalance? How do we hold him responsible for the things he does?
He's bipolar or something.
Like he has
everybody has free will.
Not when you have a very, high rage or anger.
Of course you have free will.
No, you don't. No, some people that have a very...
Unless they're insane, they have free will.
No, it's not insane. You could have people with just very bad balance of either you'll have enough of
ADHD.
Endorphins or not.
What ADHD? Well, you have free will in your ADHD.
No,
you can't concentrate very well, but you certainly have free will.
Rabbi, what about chemical balance like being bipolar or schizophrenic?
You still have free will unless it reaches the level of insanity. You have free will. You're a handicap, just like anybody else who has a handicap, but you still have free will.
Rabbi,
I don't understand why that's so difficult to comprehend.
So, but basically, you're saying that his free will be not getting angry for a second.
Whatever his nekudas habachira is, whatever his level is, where he can make that choice.
You're saying somebody with untreated bipolar has free will?
What?
You're saying somebody with untreated bipolar schizophrenia
absolutely has free will.
That's not.
If he's not insane. You're talking about somebody who's actually institutionalized?
No.
What? I mean, somebody who could have been institutionalized.
Someone's bipolar has a manic or depressive episode.
What he does, he doesn't have free will about being manic or depressive, but he has free will as to how he acts when he's manic or depressive. Not everybody who has bipolar becomes a mass murderer.
Yeah, but
right?
Okay, yeah.
But there are high chances
so you're taking two separate concepts, and you're taking, okay, fine. So he's chemically imbalanced, so he's a little bit distorted, but that doesn't take away from his ideas and how he thinks about life and how he should be, how he should live it.
Right.
So obviously that's quite obvious.
Right.
Also,
yeah.
How do you...
So are you saying that actually you're not gonna be conscious after death?
No, you're going to be actually more conscious.
So you're gonna be more conscious.
You won't have all the intrusions you have right now.
It is you that's gonna be conscious.
What?
It is you that's gonna be conscious.
It's me, yeah. The real me.
So,
so you that you're now, whatever you're now.
Whatever I'm now, it's just a very small part of me.
Do you believe that you consist of several parts?
Yeah.
You're going to be expanded.
Yes.
What?
You're going to be expanded.
Especially if you if you believe in Gilgulim, so then there are lots of your neshama is made up of many experiences which you experienced in the past.
So you can be separated into several parts, and each part will be conscious, right?
Because this consciousness in this world is only a fragment of our actual consciousness.
All right. So suppose I will be separated into several parts, and in each part you will be conscious. It will be different kind of individuality.
That's correct.
And it
will all be assimilated in the neshama.
What is the relation to me then? I mean, if it can be separated into...
Because you're greater than what you are in this world. You're right. What you are right now is only a subset of what you actually are.
Yeah, I would think that me is something simple.
What? No. Why be simple? That's what the Mekubalim said the neshama has 5 parts, right? Why did it have to come 5 parts? Why did it have 5 parts?
Neshama is not you. Neshama is...
What do you mean it's not you? It's only if you define you as your conscious mind.
It's like saying the body is you. The body is not you. You are conscious of through the body. So you can say that you are conscious through the neshama. But it's not the neshama you feel, because you can add certain parts, right? You can add, you can subtract, you can have higher neshama and so on. Then it's not actually you, because
I don't get it. Does anybody understand what Shabbi is saying?
No.
I zoned out for a little bit.
I don't think that you must be simple.
What?
I don't think that self, not a simple thing.
I don't think so. I think it's every sense of self is relative to our physical bodies, and that's what limits our sense of self. Especially if we hold, you read Asadoros, right? Which seems to be axiomatic, although not a basic principle of Judaism, but very close to that. We know that because of the moron factor, we become greater and greater morons as time goes by, right?
That works? I wasn't clear how Diodash Zidoro works.
What?
I wasn't clear how that worked.
You read Asadoros? Yeah, it works by becoming bigger morons.
I'm morons.
So what?
Not morons.
Yeah.
No, morons is the
morons don't think.
It's the byproduct.
No. That's not the byproduct. That's the cause. Yeah.
But even by the second the Mikdash they went down because they had Nevi'im and then they didn't have Nevi'im. So even by the second.
Granted, there is in Chazal this concept of Chacham Adif Minavi, that a great sage has a superior power to Navi in certain aspects. Not necessarily.
No, basically what the Gemara says. The Gemara says that at the time of the Tanoim.
From the Tanoim to Amoraim it went down. Right. Right. So at that point it went down. But beforehand we don't know precisely how to define up and down until the time of the Mishnah. Then we can see the progression or regression going down. One second. So of course we assume that the neshamos are still very holy neshamos. And they come from the same holy place. Our neshamas come from the same holy place as Rabbi Akiva's neshama came. The thing is that our neshamos are primarily in Shamayim and very little down here below, because the moronic mind to which it is attached really cannot bear too much neshama.
So dying is a profound experience of expansion.
Of course.
So expand your mind, kill yourself?
The thing is, you're not allowed to kill yourself. That's the problem.
You can't expand your mind.
That's right. You can't do it that way.
What can we do nowadays to be less moronic or
question things?
Reverse the moron, or just in an individual level?
Study Torah.
Well, learning Torah is the obvious one because that's an intellectual pursuit which makes you think, right?
Yeah, but you see people who learn Torah and they still don't know what to think.
Yeah, because many people learn Torah just by rote. In other words, they learn.
I see people who really they very well into Torah learning, the sugyas and everything, very deep, very long, but yeah, not smart. I wouldn't call them smart people. I still think they're really stupid.
Are they
outside the Torah?
Are they stupid or are they morons?
Morons.
Okay, morons means they're incapable of thinking. Stupid means they're just not thinking.
I guess maybe stupid.
Okay. Yeah, sure. There are lots of stupid people. What are you going to do about it? And there's not much you can do about that. But to make yourself into a thinking person, so you have the possibility of being stupid, so then that learning Torah, intellectual pursuits, reading, continuously learning in various different ways makes you a person who has a broader and deeper thought process. Less likely to be a moron. Less likely.
Here's my question.
What exactly can a Rishon do that an Achron couldn't do?
He didn't have like magical powers, right? Not necessarily.
What was it? Like, is it possible to like conceptualize like what kind of stronger mental powers they had, or whatever it was, what a Rishon had as opposed to an Achron?
What we assume is that a Rishon has more of an intuitive grasp of the Torah's core than an Achron. An Achron, and not all Achron, of course, we're not talking about the Vilna Gaon, right? So the Vilna Gaon told his Talmud, Rav Chaim Volozhner, that he's entitled to argue on Rishonim. right? Depending which Rishon it is, but on some Rishon it's allowed to argue. But in any event, we assume that a Rishon had a more elemental and basic intuitive grasp of what the Torah's or the Chazal's intent was. And that was because we assume this is because they were holier people. Not because necessarily their minds were greater than those of the Achronim. That may be or may not be. But since they were holier people, so therefore they had a greater grasp. And the evidence of that is that in a Rishon, you can be medayek, infer things, and not just infer things, but infer multiple things, and explain it one way, the other way, and come up with different perspectives. And you could say Shivim Panim LaTorah in a Rashba, not just in Torah Shbiksav, not just in the Gemara, but even in a Rashba. You can't say Shivim Panim LaTorah in a Reb Chaim. It doesn't work. Reb Chaim gives you one approach, and that's the approach. There's not that. You can't refract the Reb Chaim as great as Reb Chaim was, and get multiple colors. You're just going to get that single color. You refract the Rishon, you get multiple colors.
Just like something like you said about the holiness level, that's why the Rishon are greater. Something like the Chavetz Chaim. It's hard for me to imagine, based on stories, that the Chavetz Chaim, that the Rishon were much holier people than he was. So what exactly were the Rishonim doing that someone like the Chavetz Chaim wasn't doing?
When we say holier, we usually mean that their minds. I can't. That's not the type of thing which I can judge. If you went to the Chavetz Chaim, he would tell you that the Rishonim were holier than him. You would have to ask him. I can't distinguish between them.
How? So meaning, can I ask a question?
Yeah, it better be. You better tell me because I don't understand it. Yes.
Because the person lives a kosher life. I'll be Torah. I'll be Gemara or I'll be Halacha. What else you beyond limits? You should be going forward, eat your eyes. Like, how far can you go?
No, we're not talking about holiness in sense of how you conduct yourself. It's spiritual. The Ramban was in touch with the Lama Solyanim, right? He was in touch with the holier realms of thought. Maybe he spoke to Malachim, maybe to Eliyahu Navi, maybe not, but he was a person who was in much higher spiritual realms than we are in. All the things we do are in the lowest of the lowest realm. Not environment. It's all in here.
But right now, there's no one like Rambam. Not because he's just stupid, because he just...
Because they're not as spiritual. They don't have that Ruach HaKodesh, right? Ruach HaKodesh comes from the word Ruach. Ruach means a spirit, right? You get a Ruach from your focus and connection to Hashem. It has very little to do with keeping halacha. It has much more to do with how you focus your thoughts and concentrate them. And what therefore Hashem gives you in return. So, of course we're not going to cast aspersions on the Chavetz Chaim. But, chas v'sholom, chas v'sholom, chas v'sholom. But, if I had to find a mahalach to give a difference, which I can't do, what I would say is that the Chavetz Chaim was a tzaddik in that everything in this world he did with the perfection. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he had that level of prescience, of almost prophetic insight, which somebody who was on a much higher spiritual level has. That's what I think the Chavetz Chaim might tell you himself.
Yeah, but maybe it also could.
Yeah.
There's two. Number one, let's say we spoke about Bechira. If let's say you take Muhammad Akbar, and he was told his whole life, you're going to be a terrorist. It's good to be a terrorist. It's good to be a terrorist. And he was isolated. And he says, being a terrorist is a great thing, right? How he was raised being a terrorist. It's not his fault when he comes to blow up a plane or do terror. When he's a terrorist,
nobody's raised being a terrorist. Nobody's raised being a terrorist.
It's all with their little kids. It's all with their little kids. It's not their.
We believe that everybody who has basic humanity is capable of understanding that you don't kill people who are innocent of crimes.
But that when you
Now, by the way, if suicide bombers were Muslim, were only killing Christians, okay, we can make the argument you're making. But they kill fellow Muslims just as much, if not more.
But
sorry? Right, but now it's not even disagreement in doctrine. They're killing Muslims who they don't agree with politically, such as the Taliban killing the Pakistanis, right? So in doctrine they're basically the same, but so therefore, obviously, yes, we say that Hashem gave you enough free will that you should be able to distinguish between perhaps killing the infidels. Okay, let's leave that alone for a moment. But you should be able to distinguish, know that it's wrong to kill your fellow Muslim, right? Now, obviously, the fact we put people in jail indicates that we do hold their free will, because we don't put them all in mental institutions. There's certain things which, certainly in a world which is so globally connected today, are considered to be universal truths, which everybody has free will, and they should be able to discern, which is not to take innocent life. One of them is not to take innocent life.
But when you're Muslim, you've never been taught right or wrong. There's no such thing as a right or wrong. There's only what's the will of God, and the will of God is for you to blow up.
Right, so we hold you responsible.
Something being wrong doesn't apply to him.
But we hold you responsible.
But how does he know it's wrong? He doesn't know that they're innocent.
The
Germans said they were just following orders. Come on.
He didn't think, that's why.
What?
He didn't think.
So we're basing it by they didn't.
Yeah, Muslims, I assume that Muslims are taught not to think, just to accept.
So, but then what reason, what's the free will then? The free will?
They have free will to not accept, right. To question.
But they've been told this since they're kids.
So they still have free will. Are you asking if the odds are stacked against it? Yes. Rabbi said free will doesn't mean you have 50-50. Let's make that clear.
Most of the people here were taught are Baal Tshuva, so we're taught according to secular society since they were kids.
I agree with you.
And we changed.
But your free will was never taken away from you. You weren't.
No. Listen, if somebody's raised in a secular humanist society, right? Yeah. It's 90% odds that he's not going to become a Baal Tshuva. Okay? But he has 10%, right? The free will is not 50-50, it's 90-10. That's also free will. Adam Arishon, that odds were stacked against him. 95% that he would sin. Still free will, he had 5% free will. Okay? That is also free will. We're going to judge you based on the biases under which you grew up, the brainwashing under which you underwent, but you should know it never exempts you altogether. Because every human being has somewhere within him that capacity to understand right from wrong. That is our perspective.
Rabbi, I'm not sure they should have children, necessarily children to be from Jews, because the Islam community is not so ideal. And they would think, if that's the will of Hashem, then I don't know how. It's
a very valid point. The Frum community is far less than ideal. So that's why the more superior society to the FFB community is the BT community.
That's a heck of a statement.
It's not. It's a davar pashut. FFBs are nowhere near as ethical, moral, thoughtful as BTs.
What's BT stand for?
Bali Chuvas.
How many
yes.
would uphold that?
Sorry?
How many Rebbeim would uphold that?
You're going to have to take a poll. I don't know. Maybe ask Rabbi Dr. Tversky. I don't know. You're going to find out.
Don't go to Lakewood or Williamsburg saying this, because they would.
I don't know.
FFBs mostly go off the derech.
What?
FFBs.
Yes. I don't think so. I think that there is a cognition that there's a certain element of a certain higher. I mean, chazal, right? Except you don't like
the converse is also true.
What?
The converse is also true.
What's the converse?
The word tzaddikim.
What?
No, the converse is also true.
The opposite of it is also
the opposite.
What is the opposite?
What if you're tzaddikim sent belts and nobody else can send?
What?
Where
the pure tzaddikim
where tzaddikim stand, Baal Tshuva can't stand.
It is a machlokas in the Gemara.
I know, but that's a machlokas, yes. But it's not a contradiction.
Why?
I'm sorry, I didn't say
It's not a contradiction. You're right.
I said the converse is also true, as in as in where Baal Tshuva stands, the tzaddik can't stand, but where a tzaddik can stand, the Baal Tshuva can't stand.
There's a different role.
Both are true.
But the different types of tzaddikim.
What's the different types?
A regular tzaddik is not on the level of Baal Tshuva. A person, there are other levels of tzidkus. You know, we talk about a yashar, a chassid. Those can be higher. Yeah.
In a society.
One second. A tzaddik, a normal, a basic level tzaddik level 1, right, is one who's still fighting his Yetzer Hara. He's still going to the porn sites, but he's trying to overcome them, and very often he does overcome them, right? That person is a tzaddik, right? If he overcomes his Yetzer Hara more than he gives into his Yetzer Hara, he's called a tzaddik, right? The higher levels are people who already have conquered and vanquished their Yetzer Hara. That's level 2. The highest level is somebody who can use his Yetzer Hara in a safe way, l'shem shamayim. What? In other words, you are able to channel whatever lust you have. The Baal Shem Tov actually speaks about that. He said, Baal Shem Tov says, if a person gets in the middle of davening a thought, a lust after a beautiful woman. So he says, I don't know how this was happening in the Carpathian Mountains in the 1600s, but okay, you know, I didn't realize they had these nisyonis, but obviously they did. So the 1700s. So the so
some way for the children to be born.
They didn't have billboards though, you know. So so if a person gets that sort of thought in Mil Shmona Esrei, the Baal Shem Tov says he should channel it and say, if I have this type of desire for this woman who I'm conjuring up in my mind, how much more so should I have desire to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who created that woman? And if her beauty I find appealing, so the transcendent beauty of God, whatever that, you know, however, whether we can grasp it or not, and probably can't, but we know it's even greater, that certainly should be something which I lust after. So that is Baal Shem Tov, yes.
He was on the level?
Of course, he was the Baal Shem Tov. Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say on the free will about the suicide bomber doesn't have a choice. The media in these countries is saturated with images and sounds that make you want to be a suicide bomber, yet probably over 99% of people don't become suicide bombers, which would be a powerful argument, I think, that they do have free will.
They do have free will, yeah.
They do have free will to not become
But
suicide bombers.
the will to live is higher than the will to die. They have a stronger will to live. It doesn't mean that they're
still expressing their free will.
Yeah, it is. So it's free will in that realm, whatever realm you're talking about.
If you were given a gun to shoot Jews and with the 100% guarantee that he won't die, he would do it.
It's still free will.
Free will what?
To kill the Jews.
So that's what
again, unless he snapped.
I don't think he would have that. What does that mean?
You know, some people said there was this guy about 15 years ago, Baruch Goldstein, who went into the Maratz HaMachpelah on Purim and just started shooting Arabs.
Really? Yeah.
What? What do you mean good for him? Too many. Do you know how many Jews died because of that person?
Why?
Do you not understand how the Arabs have retaliated because of that over the years?
He was also retaliating as a result.
He wasn't retaliating. He went to just start shooting. We don't retaliate. We don't do it. We don't kill innocent people.
They weren't innocent.
Who said they were innocent?
They weren't, Rabbi. The whole thing was they were planning on killing her.
Don't believe the propaganda that you hear. That's rationalization after the fact. So the only limud chutz which you have in Baruch Goldstein is that he snapped. Maybe he snapped.
If his close friend is die in his arms,
that means he snapped. That means he snapped.
But who said we would be doing anything?
What?
Sometimes you think you have to pay attention to his objections. Now you see how much attention you have to pay his objections.
What?
He had objections. He believed maybe he was right.
He was right. I'm not saying he wasn't right.
It was wrong. It was totally wrong.
No, there are people who back him up.
I know that people back him up. They're also crazy. Either crazy or wicked.
What? Rabbi, you had this conversation already about treating dogs like dogs.
Treating dogs like dogs?
Yes, I heard it online.
I had this conversation?
Yeah, well, he had this conversation with you.
Oh. Okay, so why are we repeating it?
I don't know. I thought we did. And we came
Okay.
to the conclusion now.
Like a recap.
That's the only thing. With this, that they are the Arabs and the Muslims, they are human beings. They have to behave like civilized human beings and not kill. Now you're saying, no, they are not human beings, so they have the right to kill other people because they are animals.
No, we have the right to kill them because they treat us.
Who's the they?
Yeah.
You have to.
I'm not generalizing. I'm just saying. If you support your kids going to school.
You're not generalizing. Just go to the mosque and start Jewish. They're all in a mosque, right? Ah.
If you support there's this woman, right, who had 8 of her kids go and blow herself up, okay? And this woman, right, she has 8 of her kids, and she's the famous woman of Palestine right now, the West Bank, okay? And she's like the Mother Maria, I don't know what they call her.
Mother Teresa.
Anyway, whatever.
The point being, if that woman dies, should I feel sorry for her?
No.
I don't understand. What does that have to do with killing her? Either you feel sorry or not. That's not relevant to this conversation.
If I was to kill her, would you find me guilty?
What?
If I was to kill her, would you hold me guilty of it?
Yes.
Why?
Because she didn't kill anybody.
She supported it. It's regardless.
So what?
Torah doesn't have it.
We don't have. Yeah, we don't have. There's no ain't shliach d'var avera. Remember? You can't. It's the guy who committed the avera is the person who committed the avera, not her.
But when you live in an environment that breeds hatred, the people who put the environment should be like.
Have you noticed that we live in an environment which breeds hatred for Arabs?
They do.
What?
We don't. They do.
You don't know that Orthodox Jews are overwhelmingly Republican? And the reason why they're Republican, is because being a Republican gives you license to hate. They hate.
That's a lie.
See, people don't know this. The Democrats in 1960, when
50 years ago, bro.
I don't care how
you're talking about. That's 50 years ago.
I don't care how many years ago. That has nothing to do with the situation.
1700 we were slaves.
I don't care.
Republicans are nasty. I'm not a Democrat either.
I
like going to
No, the Republicans until after World War II were the Progressive Party.
Wait, let me finish.
Then it switched.
The Democrat governor wanted to block African Americans from going to white schools. I think that's disgusting.
Right, it switched.
I think that's totally
It switched. In the 50s and 60s, it's gradually switched. The Democrats became what the Republicans were, and the Republicans became the Democrats.
I think what the Democrats
Yes.
did, there were certain things that the Democrats think.
Look at what Teddy Roosevelt was considered one of the greatest presidents. He was a Republican. You can't recognize how he's a Republican. Yeah, national park. Right. He was in favor of national health insurance. Yeah.
So in terms of aiding and abetting, okay, so the guy who does the suicide bombing, he's guilty, right? The guy who builds a suicide vest, he's guilty. The guy who drives the guy over, also guilty. What about the guy who's just like collecting funds for this to happen?
He said you don't kill him.
He's not killing it.
You don't kill him. It's not a road ape. You don't kill him.
Okay. So what level of liability does he have doing that? Like the ones that are not directly aiding.
You put him in jail.
Put in jail.
Yeah.
Is there a Torah concept of jail?
Yes, of course.
There is. It's never talked about.
Okay, so
sure it is. It's talk about Gemara and Sanhedrin.
Don't you believe that if you have a major clergy guy who
Major what?
major clergy like
An imam of some sort?
that preaches all over the world that you should kill people, Jews, whatever. So the Mossad actually sometimes kill them. Like they plan to kill now whatever they had become the master, whatever. I don't know. I think this is right because here you see there's such a direct connection between
Of course. Listen, the head of the mafia, even though he himself never kills, right? It's beneath his dignity to kill, personally, right? But nevertheless, he is a very wicked person, and you're going to go after him, right? The saying, what? Yes, you should kill him.
What makes him different from the...
Sorry?
What makes him different from the
teachers in the schools?
The teachers in the schools, yeah.
Because he is directly responsible for the organization existing which goes and kills people. He's orchestrating that entire thing.
But Rabbi, the teachers are directly...
The teachers are just trying to inspire the
The
person.
mother wasn't orchestrating her 8 kids?
I don't think so. She was just lying. She wants... Listen, if your 8 kids committed suicide, would you rather think they're in heaven or in hell?
No. It was just
She inspired them.
So you think you can tell?
What?
It was just a coincidence. She wasn't the common element behind all.
Mothers don't encourage their kids to become suicide
Well,
bombers.
Palestinian ones do.
No,
Yes, they do.
After the fact, they say...
No, I saw the Rabbi. You see the video what they do in kindergarten, okay?
I can tell you a video.
Okay, I take it back. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But why is that relevant now?
It is relevant.
If that woman will cause her kids to become suicide bombers, does she have any kids left?
Yeah, I think she has left.
Okay, so then you kill her, fine.
Okay, so you agree. Fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what was my point. My point was those people who supported.
But that's not what Baruch Goldstein did.
No, wait. All I'm saying, those people.
We started with Baruch Goldstein. We didn't start with directed killings.
Those people in that mosque were probably supporting.
Probably.
I can't say 100% sure because it wasn't there.
What percent can you say?
90%.
90%? How do you know 90%?
I tell you why.
Good number.
What?
How do you know that maybe
What?
these Arabs are bad people?
How do you know? What do you mean? You go and say, you go and kill them because maybe they're bad people?
No, maybe he knew.
What do you know?
I don't know.
He is Ruach HaKodesh?
Well, hey, they're hey, they have to show that there's to be retaliation.
What?
He wants to show that
This guy, Baruch Goldstein, I hope he's in heaven, but I don't know. Because he created tremendous chil Hashem, and a lot of Jewish blood was spilled because of him.
All I could say is I heard from a person who heard from Gedolei Yisrael that he's not responsible because he went crazy.
That's the only limud chus I have.
Let's say you have a Holocaust survivor.
That he went crazy.
You say that he was crazy because maybe you should give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
You can give him the benefit of the doubt, yeah. But the people who go and pray at his grave and his merit, they are very wrong people.
No, that's crazy.
Yes.
Because you
They made his grave into a shrine. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
shouldn't pray at the grave of a crazy person.
He's a martyr. He's killed a Kiddush Hashem.
It's like, for
That's
example,
not a Kiddush Hashem.
it's like
It's an act of
if you have a
Hashem.
Holocaust survivor,
opposite.
right, who went crazy. And
If somebody goes crazy, all bets are off. I'm not talking about somebody goes crazy.
I really think Baruch Gold. I don't think that he was insane. If every day you see, you know,
Fine. No, if you want to be malayim tzchus on him like that, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, like if I was in that situation, it could be like I would do the same thing.
Yeah, okay.
I was reading a book.
We won't give you any guns.
Rabbi, I was reading a book by about Rav Shach. What was the case that he went really against the chief rabbi of Israel in 1973? That he muttered a marriage between a brother and
It's not Rav Shach. The entire rabbinic organization, all the entire 90% of rabbis all over the world were against Rabbi Goren.
Should we go? I'm sorry, I'm
Everyone was.
Yes.
What was the situation?
He was matir certain mamzerim.
How was the mamzerim exactly?
The case was that their father, a Jewish woman, was married to a ger who was megayer under questionable circumstances, and we don't know to what extent his gerus was. Nobody was around. There are no aiding that he was megayer, but he lived as a Jew for quite a few years. Then this person disappeared for some time, and the wife assumed he was dead. She married somebody else and had kids with the second person, and then the first husband materialized.
But they weren't marrying each other; they were marrying other people.
So their kids, the Langer, the family's name is Langer. So the Langer kids wanted to get married, and they were told that they couldn't get married because they were mamzerim.
Good. So now, if the chief rabbi of Israel rules is to be permissible, why did Rav Shach feel that it was necessary for him to go against? Even if he felt he was right.
Not because of the psak itself. Because the way Rabbi Goren promised Golda Meir to be matir these mamzerim in return for becoming chief rabbi. He became
chief rabbi as a result of this.
As a result, no, because he promised to do it. Till then, chief rabbis served for life, as really should be the case. In order to get these mamzerim off the hook, they changed the law that chief rabbis can only serve for 10 years. And therefore, they would have to vote a new one in. And the new one they had to vote it in because of his platform was Rabbi Goren. Now, it really has nothing to do, therefore, with the psak. the psak itself is secondary here. It really is the way he politicized the office, which was the terrible thing.
Against the psak, or his political? It sounded like it was against the psak. It wasn't against.
No, it's against the politicization of it. Happens to be that the psak itself, the initial psak, was rendered by Rav Elyashiv.
Because way I read in the book was that they said this rabbi is not a rabbi, he's not ha'aretz, and was very severe.
I don't think Rav Shach got into the details of the case, but this is one of the few cases in history of the Jewish world where almost every rabbi of great stature condemned this person.
But not for the psak.
What?
Not for the psak.
No, for the way he ran roughshod over the entire system.
Because the book said the psak.
As a matter of fact, it is my belief, as an amateur historian, that the great rift between what is now called Haredim and the religious Zionists stems from that case.
Wow.
From the 1973 Gomer case, because the religious Zionists, since they have felt this great degree of loyalty to the office of chief rabbi, so therefore they continue to support this person as the person who held the office at that time, and everybody else didn't tolerate that. So as a result, you have this split, as a result of which Rav Elyashiv left his post, which was as a dayan in the Israeli Beis Din system, and the rift just became greater and greater as the years went by.
Okay.
1972, I think it was.
I had a shayla. Do you have to be makbid on taxes, on every single dollar or cent, or when you go to a supermarket,
What? You mean sales tax?
Yeah.
Whatever they collect from you, you have to give them.
But I'm saying if they're not makbid, the store's not makbid.
How is the store not makbid? If a store's not makbid, usually they're paying the tax out of their own pockets.
Oh, so if you have a store, you feel you should be very makbid on sales tax.
Yes.
What about income tax?
Underground.
What?
What about income tax?
What do you mean? Do you have to pay income tax?
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
What if you sell illegal drugs and you can't give them the tax because you'll get arrested? Then what do you do?
Then you better leave this country.
But they're illegal in your state. If you sell marijuana and you live in California, you can't pay the tax because you get arrested, but you're allowed to sell marijuana.
You gotta pay your state tax.
Yeah, right.
Listen, it's called having a front.
Yes. State taxes, yes.
Pay the state taxes and don't pay the federal?
I guess. What do the layers of California advise the marijuana growers to do?
The Board of Equalization won't rule on this issue because they can't, if they want the tax money, but they have to arrest you, it's like...
So this is the yesod. The yesod in all these cases is, you can be, I forget where I heard this once, you can be aggressive in taking as many deductions as you think you can take and get away with it, as long as you're prepared, if the government ever catches up with you, to pay the price. Okay?
Wait, couldn't that be a big Hashem?
Only if it's stealing from the government.
Right.
If there's a loophole which
then you should take advantage.
Right.
You can take that.
We are the religion which believes in loopholes. Our entire religion is, we're Mechiras Chametz type people, so we're into loopholes. Yeah.
So what other parts of the Jewish legal system are there that are not so well known?
The Ran says, famous Drushas Ran, he says that the entire system which we have in Chumash is the religious legal system.
Okay.
It was expected by the Chumash because the religious legal system is not a consistent nor sufficient legal system, that there would be a separate legal system called the Din HaMelech. Meaning, either if it's a monarchy, the laws of the monarch, or in democracy, the laws of the governing body, whatever it is. So there was expectation always that there would be a civil law next to the religious law.
Isn't the religious law dealing with civil law?
Sorry?
The religious law deals with the civil case.
Sometimes, but not always, and not sufficiently.
My donkey hates your donkey.
Right, because the question
There are cases where the Torah sets certain standards and says this is the ideal, but they're not complete.
Right.
All right? There's no what's the word? There's no